Boing. Oh, I've got an earful of phlegm. Thanks for that.
Well, there's more where that came from.
Excellent. It's going to be that kind of episode, is it?
Colin had a problem and a microphone to spare. Thomas took it up and so the podcast went to air. For weeks and months they trolled through every single DVD. They've unwrapped all the ones they can and now they're cellulose free. Now they're cellulose free.
Hello, dear listener, and welcome to Cellulose Free. My name is Colin, and with me, as always, is my fellow film watcher, compadre and son, Thomas.
Hi, hello.
What have you been up to?
A lot of staring at various election data.
Oh, there was an election, was there?
Yeah,
Oh.
Counting continues. Turns out, in the end, Lambie did get into the Senate, and the Liberals got the last seat, so, you know, status quo, as per usual in Tasmania.
Yeah. But it looked like, and it looked like, and it looked like...
No, it never looked like One Nation might get in.
Oh, dear.
No, it's not really that Lambie got in on One Nation preferences.
No.
It's that Labour didn't get much of anything from One Nation.
No, that's right. So, there we go. We've Tasmania... sorry, have they signed off everyone yet? Every state?
No. Counting continues.
Right.
I think Victoria and Western Australia are still yet to have their buttons pressed.
Oh, seriously? What's Western Australia been up to? They cannot use the excuse that they're a couple of hours behind.
But, you know, by the time this goes out, I could be entirely wrong.
You could.
I'm
going to call it, you're wrong, Thomas.
And, you know, I've been looking at weird Senate ballots that are technically formal and looking at how many seats had all of their candidates get their deposit back. We had a 7 out of 7 this year. 7 candidates in, and they all got over 4% of the first preferences. So,
Ching. There we go.
Not only will they get their deposit back, but they'll also get public funding.
Indeed.
Yeah, and at one point late at night, I decided to count all of the bread tags in a jar.
We should have got rid of those ages ago.
Yeah, because I'm not sure that we have access to the program that was doing things with those.
Well, unfortunately, the main collection point burnt down.
Right.
Yes, it was being collected by one of the vet hospitals.
Oh.
And they had a big fire. And, sorry, I say burnt down. It was extensively fire damaged and is still operating out of temporary premises at the moment as they work out what they're going to do. Because the whole place had just very recently been completely refurbished. And, yeah, then they had a fire in the ceiling and extensive fire and water damage of heaps of new equipment. And, yeah, it wasn't pleasant. But that was the collection point, the local collection point for the bread tags.
Right.
Yes.
I will endeavour to have the pictures of the bread tags and of my tabulation in the show notes. But the bottom line is we have over 1,000 bread tags in a jar sitting in the kitchen.
And hopefully, as the months roll on, that number will not increase by much because lots and lots of places are now using cardboard bread tags, which they should have used in the first place.
Yeah, the day of the Oclu Panad is swiftly coming to an end, and now we only have Oclu Panopsia to deal with.
You're a dag. It will all make sense once you look at the... Yes.
And I think that's about it. I have not seen Captain America Brave New World because it only came out on Disney Plus at time of recording an hour and 15 minutes ago.
Oh, okay, it is finally out on Disney Plus. Ah, well, there we go.
And it's a 2-hour film, so that was never happening.
Yeah. Yeah, it might get a look in later on in the week. We'll see what happens.
I'll probably watch it right after this, to be honest.
Cool. You do that.
What have you been up to this week?
Look, much the same as usual, but quite a bit more walking again and some photography going on. Had an opportunity to head down to Kingston today, and so a different beach on the other side of the river. So absolutely everything is different. Well, actually it is, because Kingston Beach certainly gets a lot more waves than either Bellerive or Howrah, because of the way that the winds blow and the tides go, and yeah. So, no, that was good. Other than that, yeah, not much is happening.
The hole in our front yard that was filled in with dirt was filled in with bad dirt that has sunk.
Yes. So instead of having a very damp lawn due to a leak, we now have a subsided filled hole, and someone came and had a look at it and said, they didn't do a very good job of that, did they? And I said, no, they didn't. So now we have to wait for someone to actually come and fill it and sew it properly. So,
yeah, all loam.
Yes.
And a fairly deep hole, so not something you want to fill with only loam.
No. The guy who came in tentatively put a boot onto it and sank up to his upper ankle, because it basically subsided once it started raining and the loam just super soaked the water. And so the hole was not a hole filled with dirt, it was a hole filled with water and loam. Not a good move. Which means they'll have to suck it all out again. They'll have to do traffic control and slurp all the stuff out and do it properly. I don't know.
Reseed it again.
Yes. As to whether the lawn will grow at this time of year, well, I mean, things are going crazy plant-wise here. We've got plants that are spring flowering as we're just heading into winter, because we've had so many days that have been convincing enough to plants that, it must be spring, that, yeah, all the plants are confused. I'm confused.
Which probably means that when spring actually rolls around, things will be dour.
Yeah, who knows what's going to happen. Anyway, speaking of things happening, we have a film to watch.
We do.
Which I could not remember for the life of me as I went on my walk yesterday as to what it was we were watching this week.
And then he asked me, and
it was me that
actually
selected it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Went back to the podcast, and there was the answer.
Yeah, I mean, I could have done that, but Thomas, by the time that I'd crawled into bed, he had already determined what it is we're watching. What is it that we are watching, Thomas?
We are watching the 2003 thriller Phone Booth.
Please tell our dear listener what it is all about according to the plot synopsis that you have randomly selected. Hopefully it matches the film.
It's the plot synopsis from Disney Plus.
Okay.
Stuart Shepherd is a somewhat sleazy publicist who uses an outdoor phone booth to call his girlfriend because his wife keeps tabs on his cell phone bills. But when Stu answers the phone in the phone booth, the terror begins. Now it's a real-time race against the clock as Stu must outwit a psychotic sniper in a frantic scramble from phone booth to freedom.
Right. So it isn't the machine from A Person of Interest that's calling him?
No, I suspect not.
Right. As Thomas alluded earlier, it's on Disney Plus, at least here in Australia. That's where we're going to watch it. Thomas is going to wind up the mechanism in the set-top box, and then we're going to watch it, and we're going to come back and talk about it. So we shall catch you on the flip side.
Turn to side B.
Well, that's like hanging up, isn't it?
where I suppose you'll find a clockwork Wi-Fi module? Oh, no, it's connected to Ethernet, isn't it?
It is.
Either way.
Either way.
Strange thing to wind up.
Speaking of winding things up, let's wind this up, you mongrel. So, what did you think?
Well, it is nice to have a film for once that respects my time.
What was it, 82?
Yeah.
82 minutes.
And which used those 82 minutes reasonably well, I thought. The film itself was just okay.
Yeah. I need to pick your brain.
Yeah.
I vaguely recall saying in this segment in another podcast that the film that we'd watched then reminded me very much of a very long Twilight Zone episode.
Mm-hmm.
Does that ring any bells, me saying that?
Yeah, that does ring some bells, and I was thinking that a little here.
Okay, my feeling more was, and that was my initial thought, oh, here we go, another Twilight, but it was more an Alfred Hitchcock Presents, which was another TV series that Alfred Hitchcock produced, and it felt very much like an episode of that, slightly stretched. They tended to be certainly a lot less supernatural in nature than the Twilight Zone. You know, the fantastical could happen in the Twilight Zone, whereas Alfred Hitchcock Presents tended to be more grounded in reality, but with a twist to it that makes everything awkward or unpleasant or skewed from what is normal. And this very much felt like that. And those could be quite unpleasant.
Yeah.
And nasty. And this movie certainly ticked those boxes. It wasn't a pleasant film.
But both our protagonist and our antagonist are terrible people.
Yeah. Yep. And even at the very end, where one could say that there was a redemption arc, I don't know how much redemption happens when one has their arm twisted so much.
Yeah.
And maybe that's being unfair. Maybe, okay, that pureness was actually within that person all the time, but needed to be redrawn out. But it was that nastiness and unpleasantness that reminded me of Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Some of the episodes could be quite witty and smart, but this just, it was an unpleasant film. I felt uncomfortable throughout it. But it was like watching a slow-motion train wreck, and you needed to sit through it in the hopes that this didn't hit that and that didn't hit that, and please let that avoid that. And yeah, I certainly felt times where, I just don't want to keep with this, but no, I still need to know how it ends. And it is the closest since whatever that Christmas movie was that I got to throwing a white flag. But I couldn't decide whether the payoff of finding out how this ends was worth it.
I think Better Watch Out was unpleasant in different ways.
Yeah. It was. But I think this was just as nasty in other ways. But certainly with Better Watch Out, I got to a point where I don't care. I don't like these characters. There aren't any characters in here that I like, so I don't care how this turns out. Whereas there were enough people that I cared about in this. And it was quite weird how that sort of crept in, that there were people that you cared about by the end of it that you didn't want to. And there was no, all bets were off right from the very start, so anybody could have been a victim through this. You learnt pretty quickly exactly how unhinged and uncaring the person calling the shots was. So it had that going for it. But I still don't know whether, now that the conclusion, which was so very Alfred Hitchcock Presents as well,
I think it undermines the character growth of the guy in the booth.
Yeah. I thought that was really cheap in its ending, but was absolute Alfred Hitchcock Presents. He'd do it all the time, where
you'd better stay honest.
Yeah.
But what honesty can come from fear?
Yeah. And as soon as they did the search of the room, I was already thinking, this isn't the end of this. And my hunch was it was going to end with a typical Alfred Hitchcock twist at the end.
Yeah, that body isn't Kiefer Sutherland. I know what Kiefer Sutherland sounds like. I know what he looks like. That isn't him.
Yeah. So I get really, really mixed feelings. And it is a film that has been on my radar because the plot synopsis sounds like it's going to... Well, this is going to... And I made a joke at the beginning whether we were going to turn on the 5.1 surround, whether, this is going to be basically filmed inside a phone booth for most of it. What's 5.1 going to benefit you? But it certainly... put me in my place there.
Yeah, I said I don't think it's going to be quite as bottle as you're implying, and it wasn't.
It wasn't, and yet it was.
Yeah.
But it broke out of that in tricky ways that did utilise both split screen and multiple split screen, and also throwing of audio with phone conversations and what have you, left, right and centre. So certainly the stereo scope of it was very definitely there. I think we still would have survived with just watching it on television.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Apart from the doof-doof.
Well.
The subwoofer definitely got the New York doof-doof running there. I don't know. I got mixed feelings about that. I think uncomfortably mixed feelings. But I'm glad it's ticked off my bucket list.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you wish to?
No.
No? Well, I think we'll move on then.
Apparently, the idea of setting a film in a phone booth had been rattling around various people's heads for a long time. And at one point they brought it to Michael Bay and he was like, okay, so how do we get this out of the phone booth? At which point they just left.
Yeah.
They just left.
Yeah, he's just not getting it.
Yeah.
Michael Bay. How many times can we blow up this phone booth? Speaking of blowing up, I'm totally not convinced that is what would happen to a toy robot being shot. Spoilers. Not convinced. Anyway, let's move on.
The following segment has no title. Thank you.
We will start.
Oh, that's right. We've got things, haven't we?
A little thin on the ground this week, but we do have things. We will start over on Discord with Entuosferatu.
Hi, Entuosferatu.
Who says, ooh, I'll have to visit Screaming Wilhelm's Tasmanian chip shop if I'm ever in Hobart. On the random comments note, I am going to see They Might Be Giants in concert next month. I am excited.
Cool. I have seen them in concert myself in what would probably be classed as a very small venue. You could walk the width of the venue with probably about 20 steps, and probably the depth of the venue by about 20 steps. It was sort of, I guess, before they went really, really mainstream. So,
and I have seen them live, but not in person, from the confines of an even smaller room.
Oh, dear. Well, enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have seen, Entuosferatu continues, every Fast and each Furious, and also The Detour, and I absolutely cannot remember anything that happens in them, and your recaps and notes don't sound familiar at all.
We're actually making recaps and notes based on... We put it through a Japanese translator, then a Spanish translator, and then the Spanish into Russian, and then the Russian into Italian, and then the Italian into English. So that's why it probably doesn't sound familiar at all.
It's difficult to get it down to a paragraph of what seems relevant.
And I certainly know that last week when he went through his recap, I'm going, did we watch this? Does this recap in any way relate to the films we've already watched?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
Which, with a comment on YouTube from Dunkel...
Hi, Dunkel.
...will take us up to the guesses.
It will.
There are guesses, 2 of them.
Yes.
From Dunkel, we have Fast and F. That's F-A-S-T-A-N-D-F. And from Entosferatu, we have Fust and Frus. That's F-S-T-N-F-R-U-S.
And from me...
Well, one of those is fairly close.
It is.
But not quite.
Yeah.
It was Fust and Fury. F-S-T-N-F-U-R-I. So no points.
No points, but looking at both of those guesses, they are actually better than mine, if I was to sit and think about it.
So, this particular film has a 10-letter title, and I will be interested to see what you've done with it.
Yeah.
Well, it was probably going to be one or the other, wasn't it?
It was going to be one or the other. Yeah.
Which may be a hint.
It might be. In fact, it was going to be the other.
Right.
Initially, when I got the device out, but by the time that I was setting it, my brain had switched and it was one.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully that helps our dear listeners on their quest to work out what this week's file name is. As ever, it is 8 alphanumeric and or underscore characters. Send in your guesses, send in film suggestions, comments on our comments on our past comments, any of that.
Yeah.
In the places listed down below, or in the places down below.
Or to the left, slightly to the left.
I don't know if there are any platforms where the comments are on the left.
Oh,
mostly on the right.
On the right, on the right.
Yeah.
Huh. I guess in certain countries they might be on the left.
I don't know. Does YouTube change its layout for...
Don't know.
For right to left? I don't think it does.
Probably not. Please, there's another thing you can comment about.
Yeah.
If you're in one of those countries where logic would suggest that it might be on the left rather than on the right, please confirm or deny. That'd be great. All right. We've waffled on long enough. Let's move on.
Pick a film for next week so we can go to bed.
And it's your turn.
Okay. Let me tell you something about the film that we have just watched.
Okay.
The film that we have just watched has a lot of furry words in it.
Somewhat.
It operates at about 1.5 per minute.
It was pretty full on.
And
I was very, very conscious of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as such, it has caused me to reflect back on things that I have shied away from in the past.
Oh, okay. So you're seeing this as making things open slather rather than appreciating the fact that I didn't appreciate the fact that there were so many furry words in this.
Because there is another film that we almost watched but didn't end up watching that only operates a little under 1 per minute.
Oh, okay. Really?
Yes, really.
Okay.
I would like to actually get to it this time. This film is by the Coen brothers,
Right.
and it is set in the north of the US,
Right.
where it is very cold and snowy.
Oh, we're going to watch Fargo.
We are now actually going to watch Fargo.
Okay. Because I have seen Fargo.
Yeah,
And
so have I.
yeah.
But this time we're actually going to podcast about it.
Okay.
Instead of last time when we didn't and pivoted hard into a different direction.
Okay. All right then.
There is somehow less swearing in Fargo per minute. Maybe the frequency chart has stronger peaks, but
Yeah. I mean, certainly the film that we just watched was very, very full on for the first 3/4.
yes.
And then it mellowed in the fairy word department. But, okay.
You mostly just have to brace yourself when Steve Buscemi shows up.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Please tell our dear listener
Once more
once more.
about Fargo.
Oh, that's right, because we pivoted.
Yes, we pivoted.
Oh, my memory is full, Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So things aren't sticking.
Give me something shorter.
Steve Buscemi is not terribly tall, I don't think.
These are all sort of saying too much. I'm not... Work with me here.
You're going to have to get ChatGP.
Sure. I'll go with this one. From Google, wherever they're taking it from, because I'm pretty sure they don't write these themselves.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Google does write a lot of them himself.
Right.
Yes.
Jerry, a sales manager who must repay a loan, uses 2 henchmen to kidnap his wife so that he can demand a ransom from his rich father-in-law. But the plot's clumsy execution leads to trouble for him.
That's what we're watching next week. Fargo. We hope that you can join us, but until then, we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
You have been listening to Cellulose Free. Your hosts were Colin, who produces and edits the show, and Thomas, who makes the artwork and music. Cellulose Free is recorded in the Deranged Cat Studios in scenic Tasmania, Australia. We keep track of our extensive physical media collection through My Movies, which we highly recommend. You can find links to that, as well as other places you can find us in the show notes. Cellulose Free is a Hi Hello production.
I really embarrassed myself trying to guess that one,
Yeah.
Thomas.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether I'm going to be able to chop it so that it makes me look like I have any idea what I'm talking about. Right. Well, I'm going to have a go at it right now.
Yeah.
So I'm stopping.
Yeah. Wow, it's only 8:15.
Well, I've got a dentist's appointment tomorrow, so
I am aware.
stopping.